Greetings, my name is Chandra Richard. I'm a civil engineering student currently enrolled at the ESTS. ESTS stands for École Supérieure de Technologie de Sali. So the S at the end just stands for the VO or the town. In this video, I would like to give a general presentation of civil engineering, and I would like to focus on the main objective of civil engineering training, and then I will give a brief overview of the modules that we cover in the first year and the second year. I'm also going to talk about what you need, the prerequisite, what you need before you go into that school. I will discuss the evaluation. Then I have noticed that when many Zambians come to Morocco and they talk about civil engineering, they have in mind structural engineering. So I'm going to briefly cover structural analysis. I'm going to talk about the modules that we have that fall under structural analysis. These are resistance des matériaux, which is material resistance, and then there is béton armé, which is reinforced concrete. There is civil engineering design. There is dessin par ordinateur, which is computer assisted design, and then there is construction techniques. So I'm not going to give other modules, but these are the most interesting. There's also metallic construction, but I'm not going to talk about that. So yes, I'm going to talk about these things, and then I will give the conclusion. The civil engineering sector offered by the Department of Urban and Environmental Engineering is especially set up for the effective training of civil engineering technicians who are called to the responsibility to participate in the responsibility of the study, conception of buildings or rehabilitation works, and also it can be conception of roads and highways and various networks. A civil engineering technician prepares plans, supervises the carrying out of construction works. It can be a new project or a maintenance project, and it can fall in different fields. It can be a building project or maybe construction of public works and infrastructure, such as waterworks, water supply, roads, and various networks. The civil engineering sector, thus conceived, aims to thoroughly equip the students or future graduates with all the necessary tools that are useful for the practicality of the work. And so the system that is adopted by my school involves effective training and is really devoted to situational arrangements such as mini projects and also practical work. We have internship, which is really important. Every year we have internship. For the first years, they have it for only 1 month. For the second years, 8 weeks, that's 2 months. And also the third years have it for 3 months. And so really, there's a lot of practical work that is involved. We also have transversal courses such as communication skills and also management and IT courses. So we really don't have to be ignorant about the world out there. We have to know how to communicate effectively and also how to manage the work on a construction site. We have to take into consideration the injuries of the workers. The security of the workers, security, and general safety of the workers, the tools and whatnot, and also how to manage time. You have a deadline. How do you divide the work? You consider the amount of equipment that you have on a construction site. You look at the time, the workers available and whatnot. So there's a whole lot of stuff that we learn. So for the first semester, we have 4 modules, as you can see. In Physique de Base, we have Electrotechnique, which focuses on RCL circuits. Now, just Google RCL circuits on YouTube and it will give you everything I want to explain. Resistance, conductance, inductance. Then we have hydraulics, and it's mostly based on Bernoulli's equation, if I'm not mistaken. So just try to Google that. Everything to do with pressure and Archimedes principle. Is it Archimedes, however you pronounce that guy's name? Yes, Google it. Go to YouTube, you'll find some good professors there. Thermodynamics is not really as complicated as that the one you find in the faculties. It's really doable, but of course you look at machines and the transfer of energy and whatnot. Then mathematics. Wow, mathematics is challenging everywhere. Here we have analysis 1, 2, and 3. That's analyze 1, analyze 2, and analyze 3, all embedded in one subject, mathematics. Most people rely on informatics and statistics to compensate for mathematics. But your goal really shouldn't be to compensate, just aim to validate everything. And I'm sure Mr. Ernest does a great job in equipping the French students with mathematics, the basics that you need, you'll be given. Just pay attention. Then we have RDM and construction. Well, I'm going to talk about these in the next segment. In the second semester, it really gets interesting. We really start to focus on civil engineering related courses, really. So the first module, in module 5, we have structure and we have reinforced concrete, metallic construction, civil engineering design. Now you really have to look out for reinforced concrete. It's the most challenging. Metallic construction is not very challenging in the first year. Well, at least it wasn't for me, because I found it really easy. Yeah, anyway, but other people did find it problematic. Civil engineering design, I didn't have a problem with that. Well, I'm going to discuss civil engineering design and structure after all this. Architecture and urbanism, I enjoyed architecture. Here we have the history of architecture. It really does open your mind to the world of construction and gives you the history, the first constructions. Well, even though the knowledge that we have is largely speculative, but it's really interesting. You look at the Gothic, I don't know what you call them in English. Anyway, the Renaissance, when there was art, in Italy and whatnot. It was really interesting. There is also topography, everything that is related to surveying. Is it surveying? Surveying, engineering. And then there is dessin assisté par ordinateur. This is computer assisted design. So we start with AutoCAD, and then in the second year you're introduced to Revit and all these other nice softwares. So for matériaux et géotechnique, we have matériaux du génie civil. We really investigate the materials, the construction materials that we use and why we use them. We examine their strengths. We also do some tests, the hardness test and whatnot. Geotechnical engineering, geotechnique, is really interesting because we have to consider a number of things. Everything that happens in the ground. Is the ground stable enough to support a construction work? Can we build a road on this land? Can we, on this region, in this region, can we have a garden next to a building? A garden means you'll be from time to time you'll be introducing water to that portion of land, and water can affect the structure, that is supporting that is being supported by the soil. And so we have to consider a great number of things. We do tests as well in order to determine the foundations. It's really interesting. Then there is hydrogeology. That's everything to do with the hydrogeology. It's the geology of water. We have naphtreatic. What's naphtreatic? It's something like an underground river basin and whatnot. It's like geography, the geography that you did back in high school. It's not really complicated. It's very theoretical. It was kind of boring to me, but it's really interesting. Don't take it as boring. I studied it like a week before the exam and I managed to clear it. But many people who studied it like really seriously, they got better results. For me, I was just in the minds. Yeah, that's one other thing. Don't select modules. You say this one is easy, I won't really pay attention to this one. No, just be serious in everything that you do. That's something that I have learned from experience, from my failures, from my victories. Yes. And then there is technique d'expression et de communication. This is French language and everything to do with communication skills. There is also Anglais technique, but this one depends on the teacher that you have. For us, our professor focused on civil engineering. It was civil engineering in English, so it was like a global view of civil engineering, but in English. Motricité et activité d'ouverture. Okay, so this one, it has to do with what do you call this? Like going out and exploring an area, trying to find out certain information. For example, if you have a project to realize, you have to find out what's the population, how's this construction project going to affect the existing population, all the necessary information that you need. So yes, that's what we cover. In the second year, it really does get interesting, but I won't really talk about this. I think the information that you need has to do with the first year, and you will discover more about the second year and third year. When it comes to evaluation, the system that is adopted by my school is one that involves validating with a 12. So if you have a minimum of 12 and above in a module, you have validated, and in that module there are matières. The same thing applies. You need to have 12 and above in order for you to validate. And one other thing, matières within one module can compensate each other, but matières in a particular module cannot compensate matières in other modules. So you really have to work extra hard. The system is, yes, it's not really easy, but it does force you to work hard and concentrate. And when it comes to rattrapage, if you have a minimum of 5 or 6, is it 5 or 6 between the two values, you qualify to go for rattrapage. If you have anything inferior, you cannot qualify, so you lose your year. You cannot validate that year. Well, that's for a module, not for a matière. When it comes to compositing a module, modules can compensate each other, and the system that is adopted, you need to have a minimum of 8 points in order to compensate that module. And if you do not have 8 and above, you lose your year. And there is nothing like carrying modules to the next year. You have to retake the year, but only the modules you haven't validated. So you really have to concentrate. You have to work extra hard. One more thing, you may have noticed that I repeatedly said civil engineering technician that yes, the program is the first 2 years, that's a DUT program, that's Diplôme Universitaire de Technologie. So you're trained as a civil engineering technician, but if you want to continue with your licence professionnelle, you can sit down for a concours. It's really competitive. You're not the only ones competing at that school, but all the other ESDs around Morocco are competing for a place, and there are only a maximum of 30 places, so you have to work extra hard. Yeah, for more details, you can visit the school website, as I mentioned earlier, or you can inbox me. In this segment, we are going to look at the modules that fall under structural analysis. By its definition, structural analysis is the prediction of the performance of a given structure under a prescribed load or prescribed loads. That's a simple definition. Well, in the first year, we are introduced to different elements that we generally encounter in structural analysis, from beams, columns, footings, different, well, I don't know some terms in English. And all these elements are really put into consideration, and the forces, including the forces that affect them, how they respond to those forces. Some of these terminologies you are familiar with from high school. We looked at action and reaction of forces. For example, in this image you see a load that is exerting some force on a beam, a wooden structure, and there are compressive forces and tensile forces. The compressive forces are those that are bringing the elements together, and then tensile forces are the ones that take them apart. Here before your eyes we see a detailed, well, not really detailed, but just something, an image explaining how these forces are distributed. So we see the compressive forces trying to squeeze the element, and the tensile forces trying to take it apart. Now we have to understand what structural analysis is. Now, when many people think about structural analysis or structural engineering, they think about using a lot of mathematics and physics equations to try and solve some complex problem. Really, okay, we do need mathematics and physics, but structural analysis is really about problem solving, coming up with creative ideas to solve problems. Now, I'm going to give an example. In this clip, we see a structure that's already bending. So we have a structure, and once we introduce a load, it collapses and falls. So what is the solution to this problem? Now, a solution would be finding ways to try and support the structure. We noticed that the bending was mostly in the middle, and so we introduce some beams. We've introduced 2 more beams in the middle, and we're going to see if it's going to support the structure. So we see that it's not bending already, so it gives us some confidence. And once we introduce a load, it will be able to support the load. The structure is going to be able to stand. We can introduce 1 more load and the structure will not fall. But then we also have to consider other factors, external factors away from the building. So we have to consider things like the earthquake shaking. As you can see in the video, this guy is shaking the structure. So we have to consider all these factors and try to find problems solutions to the problems. So in the first year, we are introduced to many kinds of stresses that our buildings go through. So we have the main, the three types of stresses that we look at in the first year are compression, tension, and shearing stresses. These are the three common types. So all these problems that we encounter in structure analysis, they come back to trying to solve these problems. Yes. So that's about structural analysis. And then here we have an age-old problem of concrete. Why do we reinforce concrete? So we know that concrete does well when it comes to compressive forces. It can resist some forces of compression, but it doesn't really do well when it comes to tensile forces. So we found a solution, and the solution is to introduce rebars. Now rebars are bars made of steel bars that we insert in a structure element before dosing it with concrete. This is why we call it reinforced concrete, and there's a whole module that is built on that, and it's really challenging, so you have to look out for that one. And then we have design. Well, if you have some skills from high school, definitely they will help you. You'll be able to understand things faster, but really you don't have to worry if you've never taken GMD or technical drawing. You will be taught everything that you need, and it's really simple. It's not something complicated. Yes. Then we come to the final module, the final subject in this module, technique de construction. Construction techniques, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway, my teachers, according to my teachers, my professors, our school, the EST, Osale, is the only EST that gives a detailed instruction from start to finish when it comes to construction techniques. And we are blessed enough to have a professor who's actually, he's part of the team that leads construction techniques in Morocco. So yeah, we are really blessed to have him. I've decided to end here. I believe I've been able to share all the information that you need. If you need further information about the school, you can go to the school website. Just type EST Desale, and it will give you a list of information. You go to the school website and you'll be able to acquire all the information that you need. Well, civil engineering is not the easiest of courses. It calls for dedication, really. You have to be disciplined. There are a lot of challenges that we face. Sometimes we spend sleepless nights. Sometimes we go 2 days straight without sleep, and I'm not exaggerating. It's really not a healthy choice, because we dose our bodies, we intoxicate our bodies with coffee, a lot of caffeine, energy drinks. It's not healthy, but we just tell ourselves whatever it takes. We have to learn, we have to pull through. We have seen many people give up along the way. Personally, I was given a course that I did not apply for, and I tried to force myself into that field. It didn't really work out. I didn't have that motivation, that zeal to pull through. And I have realized that once you have a passion for something, if you're really dedicated, you want to do something, you will do whatever it takes. So yes, whatever it takes, go for it. If you really feel like civil engineering is your thing, yes, I encourage you, go for it. Don't just come because you are curious about it. It won't really help. So yes. And one more thing, learn to work in groups. Learn to consult from your friends where you do not understand. Ask your professors, they are very kind. Ask your professors, I do not understand here. Zambians have got this attitude. It's a very bad attitude. Please stop. Now the French. If we were studying this in English, it would have been better. Some Moroccan teachers, professors teaching Arabic and whatnot. Please, guys, those are diseases of attitude. Please stop that. If you really want to learn something, you put your mind to it, you will find a way. Personally, when I was at the faculty, there was optic geometric. The man used to teach in Darija. All the time, we would complain, nothing. But sometimes after the TDs, I used to go to him, so I did not understand here. He was able to explain. He explained to me, and yes, I was able to validate optic geometric. So please do not fall into this stereotype. Is it stereotype? I don't know. Don't fall into this habit of complaining about teachers, professors, and whatnot. Just be focused. Don't concentrate on the situation that you cannot change. Concentrate on that which you can change, and put God first. I personally haven't had the easiest experience here in Morocco. It's been a humbling journey that I have had, and if you're watching this video and you're in your first year and you've had some problems, some challenges, please don't give up. Just keep fighting, keep pushing, go back to your ABCs, and you'll find your way through. Ask God for help if you believe in God. Whatever you believe in, just go face your convictions. Pray to God. He will help you. If it wasn't for my families and friends, I would have really given up, because my experience wasn't good. If you want to know more about my experience and also some other stuff related to civil engineering, please see me if you're in the city. Yes, I'm around. I have talked to some girls and also some guys. They've come through. Yeah, take advantage of this quarantine period, because I'm here. I'm ready to answer all your questions that you have about civil engineering and fundamental science at the faculty. So what's left to say? Yes, first years, please. Some of you have complained about the courses. You've had not had the best experience. You've texted me and I've tried to lift you up. I've been through that. I've been discouraged. Sometimes I wasn't even going to class and whatnot because I didn't really have the motivation to go to class. But I have really come to realize that motivation, really, if you have something strong, if you have motivation for a particular subject, you will find a way through. Don't give up, don't be discouraged. It will be a blessing in disguise. For me, after my rough journey, my rough steps in the beginning, it became my great motivation to uplift other students who are facing problems with their academics. That's why I joined the profs. I decided to teach one of the classes. Yes, I think if you understand the pain of losing a year, you understand the struggles that one goes through mentally, emotionally. I mean, that's those things. I think it's easier for you to sympathize with the others because you've had that experience. So please don't think it's a misfortune or something. Try to learn from it, build yourself. Yes, and trust in God. Really believe in God. The word of God does come alive when you believe in it. And I'll leave you with a verse, Psalm 27 verse 13. I love that verse. I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Stay blessed. May God bless you. Thank you.